Yo, yo, yo. This week on the X-Factor Sportz Podcast, are we watching the best baseball player we've ever seen? We get into NFL Week 8. I give y'all the X Factors for this week in the primetime games. And you know what y'all came here to see. The NBA is back. I give y'all the predictions for who wins the awards this season. Keep it locked right here. Episode 105 of the X-Factor Sportz Podcast starts right now. Welcome to the X-Factor Sportz Podcast. It's your boy Jay Mondane. We are in season 9, episode 9, all right, of the X-Factor Sportz Podcast. Going through this season, it's been great. Episodes are getting bigger and better. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. We are on YouTube every Wednesday night and anywhere you like to listen to your podcast. You can check us out, all right? So without further ado, we're going to dive right into it. We're going to get into the quick news. And we're going to start with some crazy stuff that's going on in the news, all right? Starting with Joseph Sandberg. Now, nobody probably knows who this guy is, but you've heard the story, so it'll make sense when I start talking about it. This is an NBA story. Joseph Sandberg, he was the co-owner of the company called Aspiration. Aspiration was that company that's connected to the LA Clippers. So the whole Kawhi Leonard circumventing the pay structure, his salary cap, all that. This guy's the co-owner of that company. All right. He pled guilty on 2 counts of fraud. So prosecutors said it was a scheme, defrauding investors, almost $250 million. This was last week. The fact that this guy is connected to this company, who's connected to the LA Clippers, who have a sponsorship deal, and they're talking about they paid Kawhi Leonard all this money, circumventing the salary cap is crazy. Where there's smoke, there's fire. I know the NBA said that they didn't come up with anything in their investigation, but then when you flip it around and you find out Joseph Sandberg, this guy, pled guilty to 2 counts of fraud for over $250 million, what else is he capable of doing fraudulent, right? So I told y'all we're going to give y'all more of this story as it unfolds. This is the latest. The co-owner of a company that is sponsoring the LA Clippers. The co-owner has pled guilty. The sentencing is in February of 2026. But like I said, where there's smoke, there's fire. I know the NBA say they're ending their investigation, but you see this come out, you almost got to kind of reopen the case and see what's going on. So all season, I'm sure that will be the talks. What's going to happen with Steve Ballmer, the owner of the Clippers? What's going to happen with Kawhi Leonard? Did they skirt around the salary cap and pay Kawhi some extra money under the table for a job he did not do? We'll find out, but I'm going to keep y'all up to date on what happens with that. All right? Turn into a real reporter. Damn, not really. All right, NFL. Some good news in the NFL. Philadelphia Eagles, Brandon Graham, Super Bowl champion defensive player, won 2 Super Bowls, retired, rolled out into the sunset after last year's Super Bowl, is coming out of retirement. They just finished up a 1-year deal the other day. So Brandon Graham will be back as a Philadelphia Eagle. I'll be shocked to see him play this week, but as soon as next week, I wouldn't be surprised to see him play, get right back to it. And this came at an interesting time because Zadarius Smith suddenly retired on him. They have players on IR. They got players that are out for the rest of the year. So there's a lot of injuries on that side of the ball, the sudden retirement. Brandon Graham is not even 1 full year removed, probably still is hungry, still wants to play. This is what I always say about players that retire and come back. Come back for the right reasons, all right? Because as an athlete, especially at the highest level, it becomes 80% mental, 20% physical, especially when you've played for years. In Brandon Graham's career, I'm sure at this point, it is mental. He knows how to do everything on the field already from a physical standpoint. He's proven it. So I say come back for all the right reasons, because I don't want to see him come back and something happens to him, an injury, something, anything that could happen to him that would derail this great story. So congrats to Brandon Graham, Philadelphia Eagles. You're getting leadership back in the locker room. You're getting championship pedigree back in the locker room. You're getting someone, a person that's smart, that understands the game from the defensive side. He can stabilize that room. So congrats to them. Hopefully that's a shot in the arm they get. Eagles get more competitive. So we're going to dive into more about the Eagles when we get into the Week 8 X Factors. Then the last thing in the quick news, Major League Baseball. All right, congrats to the Toronto Blue Jays. They made it to the World Series. We predicted that they would make it. Got to a Game 7. I was talking to some people I was hanging out with on Friday night after Shohei Ohtani went crazy, that the Blue Jays will win it in 7 games. I had them going against the Phillies, but the Phillies wet the bed against the Dodgers. They probably was intimidated, whatever. But even though the Mariners were up 2-0, I was just thinking the Toronto Blue Jays have the offensive firepower to get out of a 2-0 hole. They can win on any given night. If the pitching wakes up and these bats wake up, they'll be hard to beat. And after they went down 2-0, I think they averaged like 7 runs a game. So congrats to the Blue Jays, Vlad Jr. and the crew. They will actually host. They have home field advantage in the World Series because they had a better record than the Dodgers. That starts on Friday. World Series, Toronto Blue Jays and LA Dodgers. Game 1 will be on Fox. Now, we obviously talk baseball because we got to segue into what we have been seeing, not only this season and this playoffs, but for this guy's career. So we're going to get right into it. We're going to talk some Shohei Ohtani. Are we witnessing the best baseball player we've ever seen? Now, don't mistake this for greatest or GOAT, anything like that. To me, greatest and best are 2 different things. Greatness comes when we are talking about the totality of a player's career, how much they've won, how much success have they had. That ties into the greatness. Obviously, you have to be good and one of the best to be even considered great, right? Robert Horry won't get into the Hall of Fame. He has 7 NBA championships, but he has no All-Star appearances, no All-NBAs. He has, he has no first or second team, nothing. No other individual accolades, but he won championships. So he had a great career, but does that put him in a conversation for greatness? And this is no knock on Robert Horry, it's just an example. The reason I say that is because when people hear me talk about us watching the best baseball player we've ever seen, people are going to say Barry Bonds, people are going to say Ken Griffey Jr., Frank Thomas. They're going to go all the way back to the Babe Ruths. The history of baseball is so rich. It's over 100 years old. But we have to understand what I'm saying when I say the best baseball player we are watching right now. Shohei Ohtani is doing things that we've never seen a player do in the modern era in baseball, okay? The fact that last season he wasn't ready to pitch, so he said, okay, I'm going to go ahead and hit 50-plus home runs and steal 50-plus bases, right? This year, he is getting better at pitching. He says, okay, I'm going to get 50 strikeouts this year, and I'm going to still hit 50 home runs this year, right? Like, the way that this guy plays baseball is different from anybody we're watching right now, probably anybody we've ever seen. The problem is we don't want to admit it because it's too soon, or at least we think it is. But don't let your mind fool you from what your eyes are looking at. Okay, what he put on display Friday night, off the top of my head, in the last 25 years, is the single greatest performance any athlete has ever put on in sport. When we talk about magnitude, when we talk about clutch, when we talk about unbelievable, he checks all the boxes. Shohei Ohtani, in a series deciding game for a sweep against the number 1 team in baseball, record-wise, the Milwaukee Brewers, to send them home, not only did he strike out 10 batters in 6 innings or 5 3/3 or 2/3 innings, something like that, he hit 3 home runs. One of them hit the roof of Dodger Stadium. To put on a performance like that in a pennant-clinching game, to clinch the sweep, to go back to the World Series, for a chance to go back-to-back, is arguably the single greatest performance we've seen in this century. And we've seen it happen from the best baseball player we've ever seen. Okay? It's time to just give it up. Everybody wants to wait until they see something else happens or make it hyperbolic when they win the World Series again, if they win the World Series again, or when his career is over. Don't let your mind trick you from what your eyes are seeing. You've never seen anything like this before. You're watching the best baseball player you've ever seen. I don't care how old you are, okay? Barry Bonds is an all-time great, arguably the GOAT, for what he did at the mound and when he was younger, what he did in the outfield. But he's not mowing down 10 batters, okay? It wasn't in his ability. What he did on the offensive end is unmatched. But the combination of what Shohei Ohtani is doing on the mound and the combination of what he does at bat, how he intimidates pitchers, and then he goes out and intimidates batters. He's 6'3", 200-plus pounds. He's not a small baseball player by baseball standards, okay? Mr. $700 million. He's in a time where he's in the most lucrative time. He's in arguably the most athletic time in baseball history, right? In a time where the rules are changing all the time, the pitchers have to be ready to pitch quicker. They don't pitch as long, so he has the stamina to do both. And he's only 31 years old. So in baseball years, he's still young. He's in his prime. And on top of that, he's probably on the cusp of winning back-to-back World Series titles. And if he continues to play like this, he will be World Series MVP. So you put all those things together, the two-way dominance, the pitching and hitting. I've been telling my boys this all season long. He will be the first player to win a Cy Young Award and a Triple Crown. If he puts it all together, if we talk about peak, apex, prime, Shohei Ohtani. Obviously, all this is barring injury. If he can put a season together of just sheer dominance, he can win a Cy Young, an MVP, and a Triple Crown the same year. And he might be on his way to winning another National League MVP this year. So the two-way dominance, the monster numbers in the postseason and the regular season. He averages over 280 at his batting average, over 50 home runs, over 100 RBIs. The on-base percentage is over 1,000. So, I don't know what else you need to see or how much more you need to see to just say you're watching the best player you've ever seen play baseball. Right? So what we're watching now is just something that needs to be enjoyed. It needs to be relished. We need to relish the opportunity to watch this. With this World Series coming Friday, you are witnessing the best baseball player you've ever seen in Shohei Ohtani. The marketability, right? Because he has a whole another continent that's tuning into Major League Baseball because of how great he is. This is a different level from Ichiro, right? So all of those things combined is a perfect storm of fame, of marketing, of excellent play, championship level baseball, right? He has a good demeanor. You don't see him getting in any trouble. He plays hard. He's available. This is what we're getting. Shohei Ohtani, the best baseball player you've ever seen. All right. The X-Factor Sportz Podcast. We are live on YouTube every Wednesday night, right? So be sure to like, share, and subscribe. I see a lot of people liking the reels, a lot of people liking the episode, giving it views. The way we grow is from you sharing it, all right? You got to let people know to tune into the X-Factor Sportz Podcast. So I appreciate y'all every Wednesday night, and you can always listen on any audio platform too. So that's Spotify, iHeartRadio, Pandora even, YouTube Music, we're everywhere. The X-Factor Sportz Podcast every week. Okay. So I know why y'all came here. You want to know what we're going to talk about with the NBA. And yes, the NBA started last night with a doubleheader. NBC, I loved hearing the music, gave me chills, made me feel like I was back home in Circle Park in the 90s, watching the Bulls against the Pacers or Bulls against Knicks or Knicks against Pacers or one of those games, Orlando Shaq, you know? So NBA on NBC is back, and obviously they're on all other networks, but just hearing that theme music made me feel good again. I hope it made y'all feel the same, a sense of nostalgia. But we're going to get into some predictions, all right? And full disclosure, I changed one of my predictions literally like 2 hours ago. So you are getting this in real time, right? That's why we love the podcast, the X-Factor Sportz Podcast, because it's real talk, unbiased takes. And I made one of my changes literally in the last 2 hours, and we're going to get right into it. So we're going to talk about these awards. MVP, All-NBA, Defensive Player of the Year, Most Improved, Coach of the Year. We're going to get into all of it. And I'm going to do something that I've never done before, too. All NBA, I'm going to give y'all my predictions for all NBA first team and second team this year, all right? But first, we're going to start off with the MVP. And this is the one I just literally changed like 2 hours ago, okay? But this year, I think the league MVP, this is going to feel like 2015, 2016 again, when Steph Curry went back-to-back. I'm not saying that he's going to be unanimous, but I feel like he can win back-to-back MVPs, and that's Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He will be your 2025-2026 MVP. Jay, why do you say that? Certain players, when they win championships, they rest on their laurels. They feel like they have accomplished it all. They're good, right? They're stamped. Legacy, history, it's in the books forever. Then you have some players, you have other players, elite guys, who get hungrier. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander strikes me as one of these players that got a taste of winning an NBA championship, got his ring last night, saw that banner come down in OKC. I feel like he gets even hungrier, okay? If you watched the game last night, you saw how he just turned it up in the fourth quarter in those double OTs. I feel like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is just going to turn it up another notch. He's going to give you a Steph Curry second year. I'm not saying they're going to win 70 games. What I'm saying is Shai is going to plant his flag as I am one of the best players of all time, right? He wants to go on that path. He doesn't want to say I had a good season or we had a great championship year. I think this is the beginning of a run of seeing Shai Gilgeous-Alexander say, I'm one of the great players. He's trying to step into greatness. And because of that, I got him winning an MVP this season. I think the OKC Thunder go on a tear in this regular season. They feel like they are the best team in basketball. They stamp themselves as champions. They're young. Everybody is re-signed. Their star franchise player is 26, 27 years old. They're healthy. I think they go on another crazy run led by Shai, and I think he wins back-to-back MVPs. The person I had before was going to be Luka, but the reason I thought about it was because team success. I don't know how good the Lakers are going to be, and I don't think they're going to be close to as good as what OKC is going to be, and because of that, Luka's going to have MVP-type numbers, but they may be a 5-6 seed when it's all said and done. And a 5-6 seed ain't going to get an MVP in the West with what Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and the OKC Thunder are about to do in the West. So that's why I picked Shai. All right. My sixth man of the year, and this guy just got traded from Portland over to Boston, Anthony Simons. The reason I got Anthony Simons as the MVP or the sixth man of the year is because of his style of play. He's an offensive weapon, a spark plug that will come off the bench. He may start some games this year. So obviously this is barring how many games he starts. But if he sits on the bench more games than he starts, he will be the sixth man of the year. He will step into that Peyton Pritchard role. I think Peyton Pritchard will play more in the starting role. And because the Boston Celtics are a well-oiled machine, the way that system works, if you look at historically, if you look at sixth man of the year, they usually play in a good system, a system that actually benefits them coming off the bench. I know Anthony Simons started in Portland, but he's coming to a team where they don't really need him to start, if we're being honest. They have a good nucleus. But if he doesn't start as many games, if Peyton Pritchard, and he comes off the bench more, that's my dark horse. I'm giving you Anthony Simons. If you look at the betting odds, they got Naz Reid to win it again. But I'm thinking Anthony Simons just because of the system he's playing in. No Jason Tatum. Jaylen Brown's going to lead that team. I think Peyton Pritchard has a bigger role on this team. I see them moving forward and Anthony Simons winning sixth man of the year. For most improved, you saw this kid play last night. I think Amen Thompson will win the most improved player award. He's going to be on the cusp of all-star conversations. He's going to have to guard the best player every night. And he's developing his game. His game is expanding more. He's starting to shoot more jump shots this year is what I believe. In Houston, with Kevin Durant, the attention he will garner. Alperen Sengun becoming a perennial all-star. I think that Amen Thompson steps into the forefront and becomes one of these players they depend on to win games. And because of that, those are the steps that he's going to take into becoming an all-star. So this is a year for Amen Thompson. He's going to have hella highlights. Believe that. Offensively and defensively. Amen Thompson, Houston Rockets. That's who I got for most improved. Defensive player of the year. The monk himself, the 7'7" monk. All right. I've been hearing this dude has grown 2, 3, 4 inches this offseason. Still growing. Victor Wembanyama will be your defensive player of the year. He will get MVP votes. Make no mistake about it. If he's healthy, the Spurs are going to be a problem. They will win games solely because he's on the court. He's a difference maker. For all my analytics people, you look at PER and win shares, he will be at the top of the list of those if the Spurs are winning games and in his career in the future. Victor Wembanyama. But this is where it starts. He's in year 3. If he's healthy, this is where we want to see Wembanyama start taking that next step, winning awards, being individually recognized as one of the best players in the league. And because of that, he can defend the pick and roll. He can defend man-to-man on an island. He can rim protect. He can average 4 blocks a game and 13 rebounds. And if you're doing things like that and altering shots and your defense is winning basketball games, I have no doubt in my mind this will be the first of many Defensive Player of the Year awards that we see Victor Wembanyama win. So that's who I got for DPOY. And then Coach of the Year. I think this team is going to shock some people in the Eastern Conference. I got Quinn Snyder. Again, another dark horse, but I got Quinn Snyder of the Atlanta Hawks as my Coach of the Year. Trae Young back. That whole nucleus is back. They got the kid that played at Duke for 1 year. I can't remember his name, and I'm a Duke fan. He didn't play there for very long. But they got him coming back. He averaged damn near a double-double. So I feel like the Atlanta Hawks will sneak up on some teams. They're going to be the Detroit Pistons from about 2 years ago, right? They probably won't make the playoffs, but they're going to make some noise. They're going to get out of that play-in game cellar, right? With the 7, 8, 9, 10, or the 8, 9, 10, 11 seed that they've been in the last few years. I think they start to put everything together. This team looks really good. Jalen Johnson, I think is his name. He comes back healthy. I like the way this team looked. They get Kristaps Porzingis as well. big pick and roll, pick and pop guy to help Trae Young. I like the way this team looks. I think Quinn Snyder gets it done, Coach of the Year in Atlanta. All right. So that's who I got for my individuals. Give me Shai Gilgeous-Alexander for MVP. My dark horse 6th man of the year, Anthony Simons with Boston. My most improved player, Amen Thompson with Houston. Defensive player of the year, Victor Wembanyama, and coach of the year, Quinn Snyder in Atlanta. All right. Now, like I told y'all, something that I have not ever done before is give y'all first team and second team all NBA predictions. But we're going to do it right here. So with my first team all NBA this year, I have Nikola Jokic. I have Giannis Antetokounmpo, Anthony Edwards, Luka Doncic, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. This will be your first team all NBA selections. Nikola Jokic, still arguably the best player in basketball in the world. And at the center position, I don't see anybody dethroning him as an all NBA first team center. So he gets that award. And I think Anthony Edwards this year is where he takes the lead. Okay. You have no Jason Tatum. So that actually helps his case. But I think he takes that next step. He's going to be an all-NBA first-team player. I think he elevates Minnesota. He has some huge games this year. I think he will even get some MVP votes if Minnesota Timberwolves are good. I see his scoring average going up to about 28, 29 a game. His three-point shooting's gotten better every year. So this is just the next step in the evolution of Edwards. So I got him on all NBA first team. And then your mainstays, of course, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, I got him winning league MVP, so obviously he's a first teamer. I got Luka probably second in votes. If not, like these guys will probably get all the votes for MVP. So that's why I got Giannis, Shai, and Luka rounding out your all NBA first team selection. So y'all comment below. Let me know what you think about first team all NBA. Does that sound right? Do you think that'll work? You got somebody else in mind? Let me know. And then all NBA second team. This was actually fun putting this together. All NBA first team was kind of easy. Just inserting Ant-Man instead of Tatum. But this one was fun because I've never done it. And it made me kind of scan through and see who I thought was actually going to make all NBA second team. So here we go. This is my all NBA second team. All right. And this was hard too because honestly, I don't know where they're going to put Jaylen Brown. If they're going to make him a guard, if they're going to make him a forward. So I got Victor Wembanyama locked in as all NBA second team at the center spot. I got Karl Anthony Towns as a forward. And my hesitation with Jaylen Brown because of his position as guard or forward was solely based on because Paolo Banchero might get this second team all NBA spot too. So consider him an honorable mention. If you want to add him in there, I'm good with that. I'm not arguing, but I think Paolo Banchero has a big chance. The reason Jaylen Brown is going to be all NBA second team is, again, he's going to have to pick up a lot of the scoring and a lot of the winning intangibles with no Kristaps Porzingis because he's traded, right? No more Al Horford, so your leadership ain't there. Jason Tatum is hurt, likely out for the year with an Achilles. And then you lose Drew Holiday as well. So the core of your championship team's gone, the leadership, the veterans. So he has to take on a lot. And I think because of that, he will elevate to becoming an all-NBA player. Donovan Mitchell, again, the Cleveland Cavs, they probably feel real salty about what happened to them last year. Great regular season. Couldn't put it together in the playoffs. I think just off sheer numbers in winning games, Donovan Mitchell will be considered as a second all-NBA player, second team all-NBA player. And then Jalen Brunson, who made my top 10 players coming into the season. Obviously, he will be an all-NBA point guard. I can't see a point guard ahead of him other than Shai or Luka in terms of guards. He's one of the top 4 or 5 guards in basketball. So that's why you get Jalen Brunson, and then again, Karl Anthony Towns at the 4. So y'all let me know what y'all think about the all NBA teams. Again, somebody blurts out Paolo Banchero. It won't bother me none. I actually think he might get in depending on what position they put Jaylen Brown at or what position they put these guys in. This might be 3 guards, and we might need 2 forwards. Paolo Banchero gets that spot if that's the case. All right. Again, the X-Factor Sportz Podcast. Every Wednesday night, be sure to like, share, subscribe, and follow. You can check us out. Catch all 105 episodes anywhere you like to listen to podcasts and also on YouTube. All right. Now let's get into some NFL. So week 8 is coming up starting tomorrow night. So if you've been watching the show, we always do our X Factors for the primetime games. That means Thursday night football, a premier noon game on Sunday, an afternoon game on Sunday, and then Sunday night football and Monday night. So we give you 5 games. We talk about who the X factors will be in those games that will attribute to winning the game. All right. So for the Thursday night game, tomorrow night, we got Minnesota playing. We got the Chargers. I think Minnesota, I don't know. I think Carson Wentz is going to play in that game. So give me Justin Jefferson as the X factor in this game. He always has a big game in prime time. I see a touchdown or 2. I see a ton of catches, and it's just hard to stop arguably the best wide receiver in football. I know Jamar Chase made that case last Thursday. Like, I'm the best wide receiver, right? Over 160 receiving yards, 16 catches, monster game. I'm not saying Justin Jefferson will have a game like that, but I'm saying in order for the Minnesota Vikings to win, Justin Jefferson will be the X factor in that game. So give me him on Thursday night. In the noon game on Sunday, all right, we got the Giants and the Eagles. So we got a NFC East rivalry game. The Giants have been surprisingly playing good football. And this guy has been an X Factor before on the X-Factor Sportz Podcast. If you watched him play last week, you see why. All right. Devontae Smith, wide receiver for the Eagles. Give me him at home against the Giants on Sunday. Again, their secondary is kind of light. Wide receivers can get off on them. I'm getting Devontae Adams, the deep threat, or Devontae Smith, apologies. The deep threat for the Philadelphia Eagles. That's who I got going in on the noon game on Sunday. Then your 3 o'clock game, you have the Cowboys going to Denver. Again, Patrick Surtain, good defense. One of the best defenses in football, at least the secondary. But the way Dak Prescott has been playing, and he's got his number 1 weapon back in CeeDee Lamb, and CeeDee Lamb had a game last week to kind of get back in the groove in a blowout game against Washington. Give me CeeDee Lamb as the X factor in this game, right? With George Pickens on the other side, yes, he's going to be matched up with Patrick Surtain, but the way CeeDee Lamb knows how to get separation and knows how to attack the football and is a good third down wide receiver, runs every route in the route tree, I see a lot of catches, a lot of targets. Give me CeeDee Lamb as the X factor in that game as well. All right. And then in the Sunday night game, is this a revenge game? I mean, he's been gone for a few years. I don't know. But you got the Steelers, and they're hosting the Green Bay Packers on Sunday night. And the funny thing about it is I don't have Aaron Rodgers as the X factor. I actually have his counterpart. Jordan Love is the X factor in this game. If he minimizes the turnovers, and you look at Jordan Love's numbers, if he can minimize the mistakes, he actually puts up good numbers, especially early in the season, right? He's got all his weapons. I think everybody's in this game. Romeo Doubs, Matthew Golden. I think all these guys are healthy. And as you saw last week, the way Joe Flacco was throwing the ball through the air, the secondary is very vulnerable in the Philadelphia or in the Pittsburgh Steelers. So you got a very vulnerable secondary. You got a quarterback who likes to throw the ball, and he's got weapons. Give me Jordan Love having a monster game against the Pittsburgh Steelers on Sunday night. All right. And then in the Monday night game, the Commanders come to Kansas City. I was looking forward to a shootout, but Jaden Daniels won't be playing. And quiet is kept. This guy has actually been having a really good year. Patrick Mahomes, despite the mediocre record, if you look at Mahomes' numbers, he'd be in some MVP conversations, at least some whispers. I mean, but you got what Baker Mayfield is doing with Tampa Bay. He's at the top of the list at this point, Jared Goff and those guys. But if you look at the numbers, Mahomes' numbers is right there. He got his favorite target back, or number one target. I shouldn't say favorite because that's Kelsey. But he got his number one target back last week. They destroyed the Raiders. Welcomed Rashee Rice back with 2 touchdowns. I think Mahomes playing point guard, you have no idea who he's getting the ball to. Defenses don't know who to double team. They don't know if they need to spy on him if he scrambles. He's just got the game in the palm of his hand right now. I think Patrick Mahomes is the X factor in this game. We saw what Dak Prescott did to the Commanders defense last week. I am going to be very anxious to see what Patrick Mahomes does to this defense. The Commanders, without Jaden Daniels, they might be off the field real quick, a lot of 3-and-outs, which gives Patrick Mahomes more time and more possessions to go crazy. So that's why I got him as my X factor. All right. So y'all let me know what y'all think about that. The X-Factor Sportz Podcast. We got our X Factors for Week 8. We got Justin Jefferson Thursday night, tomorrow night. We got Devontae Smith Sunday at noon. We got CeeDee Lamb Sunday afternoon. We got Jordan Love Sunday night. And we got Patrick Mahomes on Monday Night Football. All right. Appreciate y'all for tuning in to the X-Factor Sportz Podcast, episode 105. We are going to end this off with that 2-minute warning. The end of the episode. Appreciate y'all tuning in tonight. So let's dive into that. So this week, we are going to talk about circumstances versus decisions. Okay? What I mean by that is a lot of us that grew up in tough times, tough circumstances, tough situations, and sometimes we allow those circumstances to dictate the way our life should go, right? There's an old story that I heard about and I might have told this story before on here, actually, now that I'm saying it out loud, but there's a story of these 2 brothers. One was in jail and one was successful. And they went to a therapist, sat down. They went individually. They were not in the same room at the same time. But the therapist asked them the same question and said, why do you think you turned out the way you turned out as an adult? They both gave the same answer and said, I turned out this way because of the way my father was, right? Their father had left them. And that circumstance altered their decision. So one went one way to a life of crime because of his circumstances. He let his circumstances define him in a negative way. Whereas the other guy said, I want to get out of this bad situation and end up making good decisions to be successful. I say all that to say this. Don't be a product of your circumstance. Be a product of your decisions. Okay? Just because we start out in a bad situation or we start out in tough circumstances, that doesn't have to be the product of the decisions we make. Okay? You have to be a product of making the right choices. Okay? Don't make excuses, is essentially all I'm saying. Don't make excuses for your situation. If it's a bad situation, figure out how to get out of that situation. Okay? Don't you want to be on the other side of a good story, of a comeback story, of a story of triumph, instead of a statistic in a negative way? So don't be a product of your circumstance. Be a product of your decisions. Okay? Whether it's in sports, life, anything that you are working on, anything that you are dealing with. I know I always bring it back to that, but that's what we got to talk about on the X-Factor Sportz Podcast is real life. Okay? We all have circumstances, but you can't be defined by those circumstances. Be defined by the decisions you made. and hopefully they're good ones. All right. Appreciate y'all for tuning in to the X-Factor Sportz Podcast on YouTube. Again, be sure to like, share, and subscribe and watch every week. If you like the gear, I just personally delivered some gear to some fans. Appreciate y'all for supporting the X-Factor Sportz Podcast. We had Smurf blue hoodies. We got gray t-shirts, white shirts. But we got every color, any size, made to order. Just click the QR code or hit me up directly. Let me know what your size or what type of apparel you like. We always got the hats, so in gray and black. So be sure to tap in and let me know what you are looking for in terms of X-Factor Sportz gear. Again, next week, the X-Factor Sportz Podcast, episode 106. We are in season 9, episode 10. We dive more into the NBA because we got the season in full swing. We got World Series talk we got to get into. We talk about what's going on in that series. Again, I got the Dodgers winning it since I had Phillies and Blue Jays in the World Series. I got to go with the Dodgers. I think the Blue Jays give them a series because they got some offensive firepower. But in the end, I got the Dodgers going back-to-back, and they may be World Series champs by the time you see me next week. So next week we get into that, NBA, and after 8 weeks of football, we get back to our NFL power rankings and see where people stack up next week. Again, this is Jay Mondane signing out, episode 105. Peace.